Welcome. You are listening to the Vibrant Family Podcast of FCBC Walnut. We aim to bring our church's disciple-making vision to life by connecting church as family and family as church. Thank you for joining us. Hi, everyone. This is Katy Lee, Children's Director at FCBC Walnut, and with me is Pastor Terrence Shea, our family pastor. PT, today, let's talk about the most talked about topic for the last couple of days, the elections. Well, I don't know what to say about that, really. I really don't know what to say about that. What are some of your thoughts?
It's been crazy. It's just been crazy from all the things that you were hearing leading up to even last night. So today's the day after Election Day. All of the pundits, all of the diagrams, all of the votes coming in and nothing turning out the way that you thought it was going to, all of the movements to one direction and then to the other. It's been nuts, totally crazy. And even now, as of this recording, we don't know who's going to be president yet. So there's definitely still a lot going on.
Although that's not unexpected. We knew that this was not going to end in one night's vote count. So we can only, as we always say, we can only trust in King Jesus to be in control. And that reminds me of one of the kids that one of the parents who told me their child said, if Jesus could be president, everything would be okay. And we're just kind of thinking like children, PT. We think, if the right person was in office, would be okay. But that's not true. Jesus is already the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. So it doesn't matter who the president is. So, out of the mouth of babes, I thought, we're just thinking like children. We think a person in that office would make everything okay.
No, we definitely believe in someone so much greater than that. And so it's so cool that you brought that up, because I've been kind of thinking a lot too, with all of this turmoil, with all this uncertainty, do we have something more to hold on to as followers of Jesus than just hoping for a candidate to win or a party to rule or a group of leaders to make laws? Do we have more to hope for than that? And I think we do.
Yeah, our identity, first of all, is not being an American or whatever. All right. Our first identity is in Christ. And we act out of that. We don't think about being American first. We think about being our identity in Christ first. How does that work out? How does that take us into post-election?
Well, I think that's the question that all of us has to be confronted with, because so much of what has been very divisive has been people kind of pitting one another against a superficial type of identity, whether it's your ethnicity, whether it's your gender. And it's not that those things aren't important, because God made us those things, but it's that we make them the main thing. And then we then either say people agree with us and, we cheer them on, or we then point fingers at people who disagree with us. And then we call them names and we assume the worst about their motives, and we judge them like there's no tomorrow, even though that's the last thing we want to happen to us. And so what you mentioned about that Christian identity, that needs to be first and foremost, for sure.
And, when I think about our Christian identity, our identity are servants. And post-election to me is how we're going to serve our community. No matter where you stood, we still live in the same house. We still live in the same community. We still have our neighbors around us. How can we live out that identity as servants in our community? I know many of the parents, you serve in your schools, you serve in the PTA, and you still continue to do so. Those are ways that you can make a difference. Continue to serve in your school, serve in your community, serve in the, some of you are involved in the city governments, those are ways to serve.
It's so important for us to be more aware of what is going on around us too. A lot of times, we expect policies or laws to take care of the primary needs and burdens of our lives. But that's not always the case if the church is supposed to be salt and light, and we're put in our communities, in our neighborhoods, in our workplaces to actually be able to be a blessing and a source of ministry and help to others. So now is a really great time, regardless of which party wins, for us to think, hey, how can FCBC Walnut, how can my household be a blessing to those that live around us?
Yeah, and I think that those are good conversations to have in your home. no matter who wins. And maybe you've been in contention with your children and having different views. And now it doesn't matter after the storm's over. And then you settle in and say, hey, let's live our identity in Christ. How are we going to serve our neighbors?
So much of this is how we're going to channel maybe the frustration and anxiety, or even the excitement and joy, or whatever it is, that the heights of all the extremes of all the feelings that we have. How are we going to channel it towards disciple making in our homes and also in the church? So that's totally true. For me, I've been trying to find moments to raise this as a topic along the way, with my kids, or even just to talk about it with Regina. What do you think about this? Or why should we consider that priority? Or why should we vote this way? And instead of just kind of getting all riled up about it or getting frustrated, every single occasion, an idea is an opportunity for us to actually engage with other people and to be able to learn as well.
You know what, PT, I think would be good for our church is that we don't just talk about this kind of worldview and politics every 4 years. Is there a way that we can teach sort of biblical worldview, biblical politics, or whatever you might call it, that we understand or build to grow in this area, and not just like, oh, the 3 months before election, we're going to talk about this. And then,
I know.
you don't have enough information.
Yeah, there's like so many ideas to grasp that if it's like a tyranny of the urgent, and you have all these politicians and all these ads and all these pundits telling you to vote this, think that, do this. It's just way too fast. You don't catch any of it. It's like hearing it going one ear and out the other. And so we do, going into 2021, want to have an opportunity for us to be able to learn together. And this is something the pastoral staff is working on, a worldview series, a way to think biblically through key ideas in politics, key ideas in sexuality, in family, in marriage, all of these ideas that are cornerstone for us. And it's actually the time in which not only Unicoi is going to be doing this, but also we want to tie in our other fellowships and maybe even other Sunday ministries or Sunday school to be able to address this too. So we're working on this, and there'll be more information to come on that. But it's actually during this time of calm, relatively speaking, post-election, even if you like or don't like whoever is in power, that you could actually then build a deeper foundation. And these ideas could be engaged and remembered and articulated and understood, so that the next time there is an election, you're already basing your decision making on a very solid database of biblical and practical ideas that then helps you to think, make decisions, and be able to vote your conscience. I think that's a great idea, Katy.
I'm glad that we will move forward in that, helping our people to grow in that way. And I'm kind of glad that the elections this year kind of pushed us in that direction.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we become complacent and we think, oh, yeah, everybody's fine, But this has pushed us to say these are areas that we need to study, to how to think biblically. And it's kind of like what Hanley says, not right or left, or, but it's biblically gospel focused. And it's not just for elections either. Well, there's the midterm election too. In 2 years you got different various elections, but not just in the area of politics. All kinds of decisions that we make.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A big part of Vibrant Family is to talk about how church and family comes together. So I think now is really the time, especially within our church, being an intergenerational church family. This is a great opportunity for us to engage and listen to each other. And instead of feeling defensive or argumentative, because the election is over, we could actually talk to someone that's older or younger than us and see if we're able to exercise our minds and be able to hold on to our Christian identity, and then be able to deal with difficult ideas. Even if you agree or disagree, now's the time in which, when you're not pressured to have to deal with a vote, that you can actually grow. And what I've always found is when you engage with someone in that deep and sincere manner, both people benefit. You will both reap the benefit of being able to sharpen one another, to encourage one another, to listen to one another, and agree to disagree if needed is actually sincere, instead of something that you're supposed to say when you're on opposite sides of the fence.
Mm-hmm. And we can disagree with our political views, but in our church, what I'm really excited about, PT, is the unity in Christ.
Mhm.
And that I'm excited about because we see that in the ordinance of baptism that we've seen
Yeah.
Sunday. So I
Woo!
think that picture is just such a juxtaposed against the disunity of the world. But here we have baptism. Tell us about baptism.
I love the fact that we are doing baptisms. So when we recorded our last episode, there were baptisms to come. And so then now we're one Sunday's baptisms down. But then this coming Sunday, we're having another series of baptisms. One will be a young adult and one will be a youth. And we get to come together as a church family intergenerationally just to celebrate the work of Christ in their lives. Their stories are not anywhere the same, but yet the gospel that they're clinging to is the same, and it brings unity to all of us. So if there's really any reason for which I've just been excited about regathering and reopening, it's to be able to see occasions like this come to life. You know, you could listen to a good sermon online, but you could not replace seeing and being a part of a baptism in person. And so I'm so excited. If you've not returned and gathered with us, and only if you feel comfortable, if you don't feel like, you know, this is a good idea yet, totally understandable, no worries. But if you're looking for a first Sunday to come back and worship with us in outdoor worship service, register today. The email should have gone out. Register today. This Sunday, we're baptizing 2 people, and it's going to be a wonderful joy to be able to see that happen in person, to be reminded of who we are in Christ, and to be tied together into an eternal future in which Christ is King, and we will live that out and see that with our eyes eventually because of what he has done for us and the faith that we declare.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful reminder of the gift of salvation that we've received. And sometimes, you know, PT, because I've been a Christian for several decades, I do kind of forget that first love, right? Or maybe not love, that might be a little too strong, but I do kind of, that excitement is not,
Yeah.
when I see a baptism, that gets me excited that, wow, you know, let's continue to work of disciple making. We want to see more baptisms. We want more
Yes.
people who want to know Christ. And
Yes.
that spurs me on to be reminded of our mission, to be disciple makers
Yeah.
and go outside our 4 walls. Yeah.
Yeah. So please come join us. And as always, let us know what you're thinking about some of these ideas that we talk about. This is our 30th episode. And so we've kind of come a long way. I know, who's counting, right? 30. But, you know, Jesus came out into public ministry and he was 30. So who knows what God's going to do with a vibrant family. So please leave a comment. Let us know what you're thinking. Let us know how we can pray for you and the things that you're excited by too.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. See you next time.
Bye.